What's going on, everybody? Leo Cannell here with today's episode of the Seven Figures Club podcast. On today's show, boys and girls, we've got an exciting entrepreneur. A lot of us know the stories of the tech entrepreneurs and the success stories of the Mark Zuckerbergs and the Jack Dorseys and the Elon Musks of the world. But when you actually know someone who's gone through that journey, and we've had some amazing people on this podcast like Peter Greg Shepard and some other guys and gals who have built big 8-9-figure businesses. But Isaac Freckleton is the founder of eFinancial, which is a finance and funding application software. Isaac has actually been a co-owner of a couple of other businesses, and he's got a long experience of entrepreneurship. He's one of those probably A+ students who did very intelligent and studied entrepreneurship and finance at Brigham Young University. And his current endeavor is building this eFinancial tech finance application into what is now easily an 8-figure business in terms of valuation, probably on its way up to 9 figures in the near future, and a lot of sleepless nights. So we're going to find out, a lot of us have startups who are listening. I know we have aspiring entrepreneurs that, are working on software. And we all know, as we watch entrepreneurs and different companies, software is where the magic's at. And especially if you can build recurring revenue and software tech type companies, like that's where you can have a chance of creating a unicorn. And so we're going to dig in and learn what we can from Isaac Freckleton, founder of eFinancial. So super excited to have him on the show. Welcome to the show, Isaac.
There are over 32 million businesses in the US, and over 90% of them will never break 7 figures in annual sales. So how do we as entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs break into that 7 figures club? This podcast will relentlessly share the secrets, strategies, and tactics I've used to create 3 multi-7 figures businesses and bring in even more successful entrepreneurs than me to share their inspirational stories and tactics to success. You can create your dream business and life right now. So buckle up and let's go.
Thanks, Leo, for the introduction, man.
All right. Well, we're excited to have you on board. So, every founding story has a unique story, and I know yours is very unique. How did you, get this idea to start this amazing finance application? And how did you have the courage to go out and not only start building it, but get the capital, right? Because the funding, and you're growing fast. You've got a lot of engineers on the payroll. What was that journey like to launch and have the confidence to do it, and then the confidence to go out and get the millions of dollars in funding?
Yeah, that's a good question, Leo. So I think my start was very similar to a lot of other entrepreneurs who the impetus is discomfort, right? And that can mean a lot of different things for different people, right? For me, the discomfort was surrounded by people who weren't hungry to work hard and hungry to provide value and to build things. And they didn't share the same innovation for, well, what can come next? What more can we accomplish and what more can we do? And, lacked the confidence to take a risk, right? So I became uncomfortable with being comfortable, right? I became uncomfortable with a lack of growth. And I said, well, I believe personally that I can do something that is more meaningful to me, but also more valuable to the people that I work with. So I actually put myself out of business. I took a business that was doing very well. We were doing, $6-7 million a year in revenue. I basically gave away my shares and left the company and struck out on my own to go build something else from scratch. I took a business model that was charged thousands of dollars for something and reversed it and flipped it on its head and said, how can we give it away for almost nothing? How can we make it so valuable to the people that we work with that one hand washes the other? There's value to the customer, and there's still enough value there for us that we can build this. So really, like I say, the impetus was I became uncomfortable And that may be discomfort for a lot of people. It's discomfort with not making enough money. Other people, it's discomfort because they don't like working for somebody else. For some people, it's that, they need to be the master of their own schedule, whatever it is. I think the greatest motivator is hunger for something more.
That's an amazing answer. And so to kind of break that down and unpack that, I know a lot of people are listening to this podcast and some have a side hustle and they understand, they kind of come to this point that, listen, if they're really going to do it, they've got to be able to put more time into it. And so at some point they have to be able to risk it all and put it on the line. It sounds like that's what you did, where you were with a previous business that you had ownership in, that was a business that was doing well, but you had maybe different people you were working there with and partners who didn't have the same values or didn't have the same ambition to really make a difference and create something that could really just grow and change people's lives for the better. And so that was kind of what drove you to kind of take that risk. And so then as you did get that launched and put together, I know there's, I think, a misconception that it's super easy to go out and raise, $1 million in capital to launch a tech software business. So as someone who's actually done that, and I think it's maybe 1-2% of businesses that get to that point, and especially to do it at the beginning like you did, what do you think those keys to success were? And for someone listening who wants to be able to follow your journey, what things do they need to do to have a chance to actually raise that capital?
Yeah, good question, Leo. Gosh, if I were to break it down to the just utter basics of what does it take, passion, right? You've got to find something that you're passionate about. I can't speak for every investor. Some investors are willing to, some investors just have a lot of money and they'll throw it at something stupid, right? They don't really care. They just, want to put money out there, and they're really not sophisticated. Other people really are very particular. I chose investors that were very particular about what they invested in, but also had the connections to make it more, right? Because I wasn't just looking for money. So I took something that I was passionate about. I put my money where my mouth was. I was willing to just completely drop everything else and go for something new, go for building something that was, again, like I say, uncomfortable, right? To not have a source of income immediately out the gate. And I had to build something from scratch. So started with passion and drive for me to put everything else on the line and say, this is something that my life can, my income can wait, because this needs to happen now. I can give up a 9-to-5 job because this needs to happen now. I started with passion, and then, and then it's just a lot of pitches going, company to company, VC to VC, talking to a ton of people and trying to find the right fit. Fortunately, I had the right idea, and I think the passion behind it to get a lot of interest. I had a lot of different groups that were interested in investing in us, and therefore I was able to be picky. Who was the right group to bring on? And, ironically, I found that when I was dating before I even met my wife, one of the things that I found most interesting is the harder I pursued, the more desperate I seemed, so less likely I was to succeed. And that same principle transferred over into raising capital for my business. The harder you push and the more desperate you seem, the more desperate you are, and nobody wants that, right? Everybody wants to be on board with something that they can't afford to miss. And so for me, the second concept, I talked about passion, right? Hustle to go out and find people. And then the third was what a lot of people in the finance industry called BATNA, BATNA, best alternative to a negotiated agreement. Having alternatives, so I wasn't desperate to take any one person's offer, almost actually made it easier for me to get money, right? So don't just go out and take your first offer and push on that until you get the terms that they're willing to own. Get offers, keep going, keep finding, keep hustling until you find the terms that are really best for you and for the investors.
Wow, those are some amazing tips to build a 7, 8, 9-figure business and to get that venture capital money. So you treat it very similar to the dating world, the personal relationship world. You're not going out there just acting desperately. And I think you had a real. I think it's the same thing. Like if you're on the dating block, you shouldn't just be looking, just playing around. If you're really serious, you probably have written down, and you probably, as someone as detailed as you probably had, all right, here's who I'm looking for in a spouse, in a companion, a partner, et cetera. And then you probably did the same thing with venture capital. Here's who I'm looking for. It's not just the money. I think that's a massive tip. It's not just the money. It's what else do they bring to the table? Maybe other connections, maybe other experiences or ideas to help you grow your business faster. Because if you go out there, like you said, there are people with money who will just put it up, but that's not what's as important as finding a good fit who actually brings additional value more than just the money. So amazing tips.
Yeah.
So you went through that, you did all the pitches, you didn't accept the first offer, and then everyone doesn't realize like everything's open to negotiation. Someone makes an offer, you're not actually stuck in there. And one thing I know from working with you, Isaac, is you're an amazing negotiator. So what do you think the keys to being a good negotiator are, and getting, the offer that you want, and maybe also still making the other side feel like they're getting a really good fair deal as well?
Yeah. Ironically, I feel like one of the best tips in negotiation is stop talking, just listen. A lot of people talk about how a lot of people think that the way that you negotiate is just get more, talk more to, get them completely sold on you. And I find that simplicity is key. Don't try to knock anybody's socks off. Listen to what motivates them. Listen to what drives them. If you have somebody on the other side of the negotiating table who feels like you care about helping them accomplish their goals, about giving them what they want, helping them be a hero, you'll find that they're much more willing to make exceptions and work with you because it's something that they're emotionally invested in.
Beautiful tips there. Yeah. So maybe you're asking more questions, you're doing a lot more listening than talking. And I find like that's the key to negotiation. It's the key to sales, is you're asking the right questions and then you're shutting up and listening. And the venture capital group, the investor, will tell you what they're looking for. And then now that gives you an opportunity to show that you are what they're looking for, or maybe that they're not. And there's another, introduction for them to make. But there's a lot more listening. So that's an amazing tip there. Appreciate you sharing that. So now you've got the money. Now what are the next steps? You've got to get an office space. You've got to make those first couple hires. So what's it like when you go out there and it's just you got the money, now you got to make the first hires. How do you do that? And how do you make sure you get the right people and start building the right culture from day one?
Yeah. Other solid question. When I was first starting this, I'd had experience in entrepreneurship. This was at an entirely different level, right? Totally different than anything that I had ever done before. Because this isn't just, this wasn't a service company. This is a lot more complex, and it takes a lot more to build it. I actually thought for the longest time, man, where can I find some resource, something that I can read that will teach me how to do this? And there aren't any good resources out there. Really, after hustling a lot of different strategies and a lot of different methods, what I found worked the best is just, volume. I like to set a rule for myself that I will send out 100 requests to talk to somebody and interview somebody for probably every 10 people that I'll interview. And I'll interview 10 people for every one person that I hire. Again, it's about give yourself options. Don't be desperate. Don't take the first thing that makes sense. Don't limit yourself and think that you have to take the first offer. You have to take the first applicant. There are a lot of people out there. There are a lot of people who share similar values and similar, goals as you do. And so a lack of desperation, take your time, do it right, is actually key, I found. So I interviewed a lot of people. I talked to a lot of people, and I took my goals. I very clearly wrote out, what are the goals? What do I need this next person to look like? Ironically, I put a whole lot more value in my interview questions on Do you have experience in startups and being nimble and being flexible than I did on, do you know exactly how to solve all of my problems? Because I felt like the right kind of people were people who were ethical, who would work really hard and were smart enough to admit when they didn't know the answer and then go find it out instead of just trying to pretend that they knew.
Amazing. So kind of looking for the
those
right attributes versus, yes, it's important you can do the job, but that's not all. You almost need more the mental commitment and the belief in the right values versus someone who had all the answers and could, check all the boxes that way. Good stuff.
Yeah,
Good
exactly.
stuff. All right. So now your strategy is, let's interview a lot of people. Let's not make quick decisions. Kind of the old adage, slow to hire, quick to fire, because we're not always going to pick the perfect person. Yep. And now you're starting to build that culture. And so then how do you find the time to train them and to teach them and to get them doing the jobs that you need them to get done to get this startup? Because when you have a startup, there's the next round of funding you have to get ready. There's the launch of the product. There's the new iterations of the product. How do you find the time? What are some of those keys to great training?
That's it's a wonderful question. Again, that's probably, that's one of the major reasons why I prioritize in all of my critical hires, comfort and flexibility with unknown, right? Experience in startups. Are you comfortable just moving? Your job tomorrow is different than it is today. Can you be flexible? Do you need consistency? Because if you need to check in and just do the same thing over and over again, and you need things to be super consistent, this isn't the job for you. You're not going to thrive, and I don't want you, right? So nobody's going to be happy in that scenario. And it's about bringing in bright people who are willing to learn, work hard, and can be flexible with change. When you have somebody who works hard, who you trust, who can be flexible, you can count on the fact, you can count on them to learn the things that you don't have time to teach. And, despite my very best efforts, I know that me as a CEO and, an entrepreneur of still an early startup, even though we've gotten some great traction, I have a lot of jobs. I wear a lot of hats. And I will be the first to admit that I don't have the luxury of giving every job the attention that it deserves. So you do the best that you can to give it the attention that it needs, solve the most urgent problems and put out the most when you can, and then have other bright and talented people behind you that can help accomplish, everything else that you can't.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so then as you're going and you're growing for a new startup, how important are like those strategic partnerships that you make, outside of your internal staff in the office to start getting traction and start, generating revenues? And what you find some of those keys to building strategic partnerships? And what is it entrepreneurs should know or think about when it comes to strategic partnerships? Because in my experience, they're so vital, so important.
Yeah, that is a great question. So, I find in the same way that I raise money, the same way that I hire people, it's almost a universal principle that I found works across any avenue, is if you spend your time trying to create value for other people, you will inevitably find value to you. So when I reach out to partners, I don't focus on, hey, here's what I'm building, here's how you can help me. I focus on, this is what I see that I can do for you. What are your goals? Like, I'll start by having just a very short, sweet power statement when I approach a partner that I believe solves a problem for them, or, helps them accomplish a goal. And I'll lead in by saying, this is what I think I can do. Here's how I can help you solve this problem that you have. And once there's interest there and there's a conversation to be had, people will often say, hey, tell me a little bit about you. What are you offering? And I like to actually deflect for a moment and say, before I tell you about us, do you mind telling me what your goals are? What are your hopes, your aspirations? What are the problems that you have as it relates to blank, right? I give them a little bit of guidance on, this is the general area that we're talking about. Tell me what your goals are. What are the problems you have? if you had a magic wand that could solve one problem in such and such atmosphere, in such and such space of your business, what problem would you solve? And as I begin to understand the problems that people have and the desires and the goals that they have, almost always, inevitably, if you're calling the right people, you can find a way to solve their problems, and then you won't have to sell them. They'll come back to you and beg for your help.
It kind of reminds me of the metaphor of working with a doctor, right? A poor doctor doesn't ask the right questions, doesn't find out the symptoms, the problems, so that they can prescribe the right solution. They kind of jump to conclusions. They don't ask a lot of questions. And you're saying to build strategic partnerships, to get those initial sales for your startup moving. It's, again, asking those right questions and digging deep about what matters to them, what drives them, and how can you solve their problems. And once you figure out how to solve, once they know that you care about solving their problems, now I think it's a lot easier to do business with them. And our company's had the opportunity to work with your company and staff. And I can tell you've solved a lot of our problems, and we're extremely grateful for the opportunity we've had to work with eFinancial and with your staff. So Isaac, how can all listeners, connect up with you and interact with you and find out more about eFinancial and how can they give back all the value that you've just shared with them?
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that, Leo. So, first and foremost, you can go check us out online. Follow Eve Financial on LinkedIn, or you can, follow us on Instagram. Check out our website. As of this moment, we've been growing so quickly without the necessity of a great website. You'll check us out, and you'll really only have the ability to add yourself to the mailing list. So go check out eve.co. And add yourself to the mailing list.
That's so short. So it's just eve.co, eve.co, right? I love that. That's nice and short. Remember, guys, eve.co.
You can also follow me on Instagram or on Clubhouse and, connect that way. Reach out via LinkedIn. If you have any questions you want to connect, drop a line in LinkedIn, send me an invite or a connection request and drop a line and just say, hey, I heard you on the podcast with Leo Cannell. Here are my thoughts. Here's what I'm trying to solve. I get really passionate about helping other people solve the problems that I've been through, because I wished that somebody could have done that for me. Of course, I'm grateful for the people that have helped me solve my issues. So feel free to reach out, ask any questions. I'm hungry to help.
Really appreciate that, guys. So connect up with them, LinkedIn, Instagram, eFinancial. Follow them. The website is eve.co. And Isaac already has, built multi-7-figure businesses, 8-figure businesses in total revenue. And now he's doing it again. We really appreciate the opportunity to have you on the show, Isaac, and looking forward. I'm super impressed with everything you've been able to do. I know you, and it's just been remarkable, the journey. I mean, you're only on, have you been at this, I guess, just over a year? Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Almost 14 months. 14
months. Dang, you've gotten a lot done in 14 months, man. Well done.
Thanks, Leo. Likewise, man, it's been a great pleasure working with you. It's obvious that you and your team share the same culture of just passion and hungriness for delivering value, and looking forward to many more years of that, my friend.
Amen. Well said. Everyone listening, search out for the right community, the right people. Don't waste your time working with the wrong entrepreneurs and strategic partners. You don't have to do that. Isaac had the courage to go out there and build a better product, a better organization, and a better community. And you can do the same. We'll see you next time on the 7 Figures Club podcast.
Are you looking for more 7-figure secrets, content, or even how you can launch your own recession-proof business? Then check out 7figures.com. That's the digit 7, Figures.com, where we share more videos, stories, strategies, funding solutions, entrepreneurial education, and even the secret business type that's recession-proof. Thank you for listening, and if you're finding value in our podcast, please give us a 5-star and invite others to join the club.